And there we go. Earnestly podcast coming.
Yeah,
Hey, my buddy Cory Vasquez.
you see it.
What I call him, Goofy's kid.
Get it all the time, man. You wouldn't be the first.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on with you? Thank you for having me, by the way. I'm excited.
Been a long time coming, man, for this to do this, man. We've been talking about this for.
I'm telling you, man. And there's nobody I like commenting under their social media posts whenever you post about sports. I get excited when I see you post. So it's awesome.
And dude, like, how old are you? You're 22, right?
22 years old. I'll be 23 in a couple months.
You know your stuff, man. You know your stuff. And that's
Appreciate that.
Yes, you know you're talking about, man. It's good to have young. A lot of millennials get a lot of like flack for, just like the basics. They don't really go into the details. You actually know what you're talking about. You actually know what you're talking.
Appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, dude. This is actually a great time to do this podcast. Number one, because we got like in real time right now.
Yeah,
I told
it's insane.
I give you a heads up that the Russell Westbrook trade could be happening as we are about to go record this podcast, and it just happened an hour ago. He got traded to the Lakers. My initial reaction, and I'll ask you in a second. What you think about it? Is that I don't think he's necessarily the best fit for them. When we look at the point guards out there that were considered going to LA, depending on trades, whatever it be, I thought Chris Paul's a better fit based on what they need. But obviously, that's not going to be a situation where they can really address at this point because Chris Paul, I mean, we don't think he's leaving Phoenix at this point. At least we don't think so. But if you're going to go down the next tier, I mean, Russell Westbrook, I mean, you'd be foolish to think that he's not going to make the team leagues better next year. You know?
I absolutely agree. I agree with everything you just said. I don't think Westbrook's the best fit. And honestly, I think you saw the reports as well as I did before that and all that was going down. They were looking at doing that same exact package that they gave up for Westbrook. They were going to do it for Buddy Hield. Yeah. And I thought that was going to put them over the top. And I thought that was a way better fit, hand in glove fit, in my opinion, than Westbrook would be, because obviously we still have a lot of offseason to go, so they can surround shooters and they can get veterans on minimum deals and stuff. But as of right now, they have no bench, they have no shooting, and shooting's the number one thing that they absolutely need. There's no floor spacing, and I agree with you. Chris Paul would have been a way better fit, and I honestly love the Buddy Hield trade scenario. But we'll see. They'll be better, and they'll be favorites as they should be. But I honestly think there's going to be a couple better fits than Westbrook will be.
So the way this played out, apparently, watching what happened, I was still in the impression Buddy Hield still went through. It did not go through. They actually had Buddy Hield on the verge of being completed about 4 or 5 hours ago, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Westbrook thing comes up, and the pieces that were supposed to go. That's what I was telling you off the text, that I wasn't sure if Buddy Hield's going to be on this trade or that trade, because financially speaking, it didn't make any sense to have both guys, because both guys are making $20 million plus. Well, Russell's making $40 million plus a year, and we have AD's, I think, $40 million a year. LeBron's $40 million a year. Russ making $40 million a year. That's 120 right there. Okay, then you got Buddy Hield. While his contract is deflating, de-escalating, it's still $20 million plus a year. There's no way in hell you can make that trade. That's why I was surprised that both guys were in the mix. But it turns out that Hield is still right now for the time being staying put in Sacramento.
Right, and it's going to be insane because we haven't seen 3 $40 million players on one team. So it's going to be – I'm actually curious to see how they make this all work with, like I said, signing shooting and signing veterans. They have no choice but to hand out a bunch of minimum deals. So, right. I mean, we'll see. We're talking about Westbrook not being the ideal fit, and he's expensive. Chris Paul, right before the finals, he's talking about opting out of his $40 million option and looking for a $100 million contract over 3 years. So, we'll see.
It sounds crazy, but he's going to get paid close to what he wants because he's still really good.
I honestly think he deserves it. I mean, I'm sure you agree with me there, right? Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So like Buddy Hield would have been a good fit, I think, but at the same time, I don't know, man. This is gonna be weird how they put this together because, again, this is the problem when you pay guys a lot of money in a salary cap league. You got to play. This is where you have to really scouting becomes a big deal here now. You gave a KCP, you gave a Kuzma, and again, I'm with that. I'm for it. LeBron has maybe 1-2 years left at being, if not the top guy, certainly the top 5 player in the league. We have to assume so. AD, and by the way, for the record, as good as this trade is, and I agree with this trade going forward, to me, for the Lakers, I don't think they're. To me, it all comes to AD. If AD's healthy, they win a title. If he's not healthy, they're not going anywhere. And regardless of Russ being there or not.
I absolutely agree with you. And AD's been the X factor for 2 years now, and we obviously have seen it. And when he's on and he's 100% healthy, which everybody can agree now is that the whole bubble scenario and the whole 4-month break was probably the best thing that happened to that whole Lakers team because Braun was 100%, AD was 100%, and that team was locked in. Right. So AD's the X factor, like you said. If he's healthy and he's dominant all year, there's nobody that's going to beat that Lakers team. But if he's in and out of the lineup constantly, like he was last year, it's going to be tough. But we'll see. Now Braun gets to be a little bit off ball, and vice versa for Westbrook. And there's another ball dominant player on the team that'll help out a lot. But we'll see, man. It's going to be fun for sure.
Here's a question: did you enjoy the NBA Finals this year? Because I'm the minority in this thing. Everybody didn't like it. I loved it.
Oh, it was fantastic. And I actually had a conversation with a couple people at my job where they talked about, I didn't watch the NBA this year. I didn't watch the NBA this year. But I got to watch the finals because it's two teams that have, or one being that Phoenix has never won it, and Milwaukee's last title being 50 years ago to this year. So they were actually intrigued by it, and it got them to watch again. So I feel like for a lot of casual basketball fans, which obviously you aren't and I'm not, they actually got to enjoy it and sit back and it didn't have to be the Warriors or the Cavaliers or a LeBron James team or the same team that has won it prior or not too long ago. So it was a lot of fun for casuals and fair weather fans that don't really care about the NBA like somebody like you and I would.
Right. Bucks win the title. Giannis MVP. I've watched, in real time anyway, I watched the last 31 NBA final series. This is easily a top 5 performance I've ever seen. You're talking about Jordan 1993 against Phoenix. You're talking about Dwayne Wade against the Mavs in 2006. LeBron in 16 and 15 and whatnot and other ones. I think this Giannis performance, when you consider also the fact that, remember, he got hurt in the last series and he was supposed to play this series really, or a portion of the series, and he plays the entire series. And not only does that, he's pretty much the dominant factor of the whole thing.
I agree with you 100%. And, that actually means a lot coming from somebody with your experience. And obviously you've watched a lot more basketball than I have. So, you've gotten to see all the legends. The 90s was the golden era of basketball. And for you to say that Giannis's performance is top 5 for you all time, that means a lot. And I wholeheartedly agree that's some of the best basketball I've ever watched in my young life. And just going off of the point that you made where we thought he was out for the year. Obviously I can't watch the knee injury because I can't watch stuff like that. Yes. But just seeing it and hearing about it. Yeah, exactly. So just seeing and hearing about it and everybody saying how bad it was. He wasn't even supposed to play this series, let alone, just missing the only 2 games and then coming back for the series. Mm-hmm. It's unheard of. And the fact that he performed to the level that he did, it's unheard of, and he deserves all the flowers he's been getting.
Now, Vegas put out their odds for next year, NBA champion title odds, whatever, and Milwaukee's not even the favorite next year. And the way I see that, that's actually a good thing. Because to me, why have the pressure? You're the champs without the pressure. Like, everybody's going to look at Brooklyn, now the Lakers now, especially with the Westbrook trade now, especially. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm loving where I'm at now. Because you know what? I had the title and zero pressure. It kind of reminds me of Golden State in 2015.
100% agree with you yet again. I listen to a lot of sports media. It's insane how much I agree with you on everything. I watched a lot of sports media, specifically Colin Cowherd, and he called the Bucks winning the finals off rip. Like he said, even before the playoffs started, I got Milwaukee winning. There's zero pressure on them. And obviously, when you look back at the last couple of years where they've been the number 1 seed and they've completely dominated the regular season, they've had all this pressure and they lost to your Heat. And they choked the year before to the Raptors. They were up 2-0 on the Kawhi Leonard Raptors. Your Heat, I know.
Yeah, that's sweep, dude. I'm still getting over that.
Right, it's crazy, but basically, everything he was saying was they have zero pressure, and they were just basically playing their style of ball, and it ended up working. And Giannis really took over, and it's exciting for them. And if I'm a Milwaukee fan, I'm totally cool with not being the preseason favorite or the offseason favorite.
What do you make of well, let me ask you this quick, because now the season is a wrap. We're now draft time now. Free agency starts a couple of days. What's your biggest takeaways? Give me some takeaways from NBA year. What did you learn this year? What stood out to you this year in the NBA season?
The NBA isn't really dominated by super teams, as they say. That was the number 1 thing for me, and the number 1 thing for a lot of other people. Where the NBA rating, or so does everybody's been saying, the NBA ratings are down. People aren't watching. Super teams are ruining the league, and Milwaukee and Giannis just showed you that that's a farce, and that's a little bit too far fetched.
Yeah.
My number 2 takeaway is that the league is better when the New York Knicks are a good basketball team.
Yes.
And maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Knicks fan, die hard. Go Knicks tape, baby. But the league is better, and it's just overall, like, just watching Madison Square Garden and having fans back in the arena for the first time in almost 2 years, and it was special to see them. I mean, unfortunately, we couldn't pull out the series against Atlanta, but just seeing the whole Garden rocking in Game 2 and the rest of the series when they were in New York, it was special to watch. So those are the top 2 takeaways. I'm sure I have a few more, but I'd like to hear a couple of that you have.
I'm glad. Well, let's hope this COVID thing. We obviously got the threat again, the Delta variant, all that. I'm hoping we have to go back to empty arenas again. I mean, it was great having back, honestly. That's the big takeaway. I mean, obviously the schedule, with last year being how wonky it was, where they took off a couple months, start up again, restart, and then the turnaround was quick. I think it impacted a lot of teams. It impacted the Lakers, obviously, with the injuries. It impacted the Heat with them getting swept. It impacted the Celtics. 3 to 4 teams that were in the NBA Final Four last year were bounced in the first round. It's you don't see that normally. And the one thing for me, honestly, is the fact this year felt like a breath of fresh air. I hope we get to see that again. A lot of teams, not just the finals teams, the Hawks in the conference finals. Now, they were there in 2014. We're wrong, but still, it's nice seeing some, parity, if you will. Because what's been a complaint last really honestly, it's been the last 30 years, if you think about it, that it's the same teams every year. It's Jordan, it's the Lakers, or it's, the Heat, or the Spurs and the Warriors. Like, you have like maybe 6-7 teams that in the last 30 years that have dominated the sport. And now we're seeing, especially the last couple of years, the Raptors win it, the Bucks win it now, and teams that if they're not winning the title, they're still in the conversation. It's good to see some fresh faces now, as we get, we're still in the LeBron era, but it's obviously we're at the tail end of it now. So it's good to see some fresh faces in this thing.
You're absolutely right. And I think there was a stat somewhere, maybe you can back me up on that. This was the first finals in years. I can't elaborate on how many years, but this is the first finals where it hasn't featured LeBron or Steph Curry or Tim Duncan or Kobe. And I don't even know how many years. Maybe you can verify that for me, double check. I think I saw a stat somewhere saying that there was something like that.
Because even the year LeBron missed the playoffs 2 years ago, we got Steph Curry. So
exactly,
we're looking at about at least 20-something years for this, because Duncan, you said Duncan, right? So Duncan,
yes, sir.
2002 was in the finals. Kobe went for 99. Yeah, you're looking at pretty much since 19. And if you really include Jordan in that also too, that small list, it's probably since 1995, because Elijah one was last time.
That's insane. And as I said before, it's a lot of the fair weather fans, they need that parity to give them something to watch, where it gets them kind of invested to watching. So as I said before, the last 4 teams that were in the conference finals, they all either never won a championship or haven't won a championship in forever, pretty much. So I 100% agree with you, where it was a breath of fresh air. It was awesome seeing the Bucks win it. I personally wanted to see the Suns win it for my boy Chris Paul, because I feel like Chris Paul deserves it more than anybody to get that one trophy. But as I told Pops and as I told everybody else that I'm really cool with and watches basketball like I do, if there was going to be one team that was going to lose, if there was one team that was going to beat Chris Paul and the Suns, it was the Bucks, because I'm a super Giannis fan and I'm totally cool with it, and I enjoyed the finals because of that.
You can't not like that guy. I mean, he's such a nice. I listened to an interview with Marin Faders, a writer with the Ringer, and she's wrote a book on Giannis. She was on the Levitard show actually. I think it was today or yesterday, one or two. And dude, the story she was sharing about Giannis. Oh my gosh! How can you not like that guy? It's incredible.
It really is incredible, and he's been doing a bunch of crazy stuff ever since day one. I'm sure you've seen the Chick-fil-A video when he was in the drive-thru and stuff.
I still gotta try to lemonade and Sprite though. I went to Chick-fil-A a couple days ago. I should have ordered that. Damn.
You never heard of the lemonade and Sprite combo before that video?
No, because Sprite technically has lemonade in it anyway.
No, that's a delicacy, man. I could have put you onto that a while ago. He didn't start that, but what he did turn me on to is the no ice thing. So I will give him credit there. But no, man, he's been great. And like you said, how can you not like the guy? He's so easy to root for. He came from nothing basically, and there's a couple stories where when he first got drafted his rookie year, he would run to the arena for practice and before games and stuff, and then a couple fans or something would pick him up and take him to the arena a couple times, and he's just super humble and he's all about family. And going back to what you said, he's just a super easy guy to root for, and that's pretty much one of the only reasons why, or one of the many reasons, why I was totally okay with Chris Paul losing to the Bucks if it came to that.
Right. Okay, so that's on football because we're right now at training camp time. I know you're excited. You and I, Giants fans.
Oh yeah, woo, buddy, let's do it.
But the big story of the offseason obviously was Aaron Rodgers, his situation with the Packers, whatnot. He supposed to do a trade in April. That didn't go down. Obviously, he is now back with the Packers. He just had a press conference. I think it was yesterday. Very interesting press conference. I'm gonna play a clip, about a minute clip of this, and get a reaction to this. Here's Aaron Rodgers yesterday returning to Packers camp.
Things that transpired. This wasn't a draft day thing. This was started with a conversation in February. That the season ended. I just expressed my desire to be more involved in conversations that directly affected my job. Also, I wanted to help the organization maybe learn from them some of the mistakes in the past, in my opinion, about the way that some of the outgoing veterans were treated. The fact that we didn't retain a number of players that I feel like were core players to our foundation, our locker room. And then it kind of progressed from there into a commitment for the 2021 season and beyond. That really wasn't given at any time. So for me, I had to assess the situation, not necessarily wanting to be a lame duck quarterback, especially after an MVP season, which I think you can understand. And then the other part in February was wanting to be a part of conversations involving free agents, which has never happened in my career. If you can't commit to me past 2021, and I'm not a part of recruiting process and free agency, if I'm not a part of the future, then instead of letting me be a lame duck quarterback, if you want to make a change and move forward, then go ahead and do it. That obviously didn't happen. I said it wasn't about the money, and the way that felt, kind of just doubled down on that. Nothing really changed throughout the summer. There were some developments in the last week or so, but I was really working on myself and my own mental state throughout the summer, and at various points deciding if I wanted to even keep playing. But the fire still burns, and I wanted to be on a football team, and we got some things figured out in the last few days, and I'm here.
Now, I get that Aaron Rodgers. First off, I admire the fact that Aaron Rodgers, love him or hate him as a person, like he's very transparent. He says what he says. That's it. He's very open about that. And I mean, you got a little bit of a peel back on the curtain about how his offseason went and what he went, mulling retirement. Once more say so now decisions. I don't disagree with anything he said there. Honestly, I don't know how you feel about it. A lot of people have opinions about Rodgers and how he's handled the situation. He hasn't really said anything publicly until now. Like everything's been say so. Like Adam Schefter's report's been based on other sources. The GM of the Packers has been saying things here and there. They want to keep him, this and that, and we know he doesn't have any leverage. We get the leverage, but I think he's handled it pretty decent for the most part. Honestly, he hasn't said anything really, honestly, and he's being transparent and when he needs to be. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to shock you.
Okay.
I 100% agree with everything you said.
Oh, God.
I know, it's mind-blowing. I 100% agree with everything you said. And there's a couple takeaways that I'm sure we're going to dive into a little bit more. But my number one takeaway is the media created this. All of the media created this, in my opinion. Nope. And I've had a really – go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that was still what else is new. The media, I mean.
Right. Oh, yeah. Everybody loves the media. I've had a really rocky relationship with my feelings towards Aaron Rodgers, like forever now. At first, when I was a little bit younger, Aaron Rodgers, like I loved him. He was great to have in fantasy football. He's a baller on the field, and he's just he's a cool he brings a swagger onto the field. He's just a cool dude to root for when you don't see like the press conferences and all that stuff. And then once I started hearing about just some backstories and stuff behind the curtains about him. I started not really being a big fan of his because, like you said, he's very transparent. He's very prickly with the media. He's not like a Tom Brady where he's fun and he's outgoing and stuff. He's more to himself, and he's all about like what he himself and just stuff like that towards me kind of rubbed me the wrong way with him. But after all of this stuff has gone on with him and hearing his press conference yesterday, it's actually made me like Team Aaron Rodgers because basically all the guy is asking for is just to say in personnel decisions. We saw that with Russ earlier this offseason, which you can delve further into. And we saw that with Tom Brady. And look what the Buccaneers have accomplished with Tom Brady getting what he wants and making or having a say in personnel decisions rather than making them. And look what happens. They're dominant.
No, I mean, I've been a big Rodgers guy from day one. I mean, to me, I've been saying, I'll say it again. Now, Pat Mahomes might change the conversation as he gets older and whatnot, but Aaron Rodgers to me is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play football. Period. There's not one flaw in his game. If you look at the flaw, it's probably the personality flaw, but that's not. You don't look at personality as tail of tape when you look at a quarterback, But again, it's he has a point. It's the same reason why I agree. Also, Russell Wilson back in February when he was talking about he was cornered by Dan Patrick in his interview about wanting to have more say so. I mean, we sit here and we all say that the quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. It is the glamour position in all of sports. So if that is the case, and we all acknowledge that is the case, shouldn't the quarterback do have say so? At least some. I'm not saying he has to be the be all end all, but if he's the guy, and if you want, for example, tweak your O-line, for example, he should have at least some say so about. Well, try this guy. I don't know. I don't see why that's even an issue.
Well, like I said before, there's not. I mean, I got to listen to the entire press conference. It was half an hour's worth of him being on the presser. There's not one thing that he said that I disagreed with. There's not one thing. And the entire point he tries to make is that he says, I don't want to be the one to make personnel decisions. I'm not saying I want that. I just want to say. I just want them to kind of understand I can offer a perspective. I've been here 17 years. I've been starting for 13 of those years, or 14 of those years, excuse me. He said I can offer a different perspective and see what they have to say or have them hear what I have to say, because I've been here a lot longer than most people have been. And I just want an offer, and I just wanted to say in personnel decisions. That's all I was asking for. And like you said, it's the most important position in all of sports. Nobody can disagree with that. And look what happens when a superstar quarterback has a say in personnel decisions. They win Super Bowls. Tom Brady, the greatest ever.
Thomas Edward Brady, the GOAT, by the way.
That's it. It's undisputed, man. We all know that.
Now, we've heard that this could be his last year. The way the agreement that came is that it could be his last year. It's actually a 2-year deal, not a 3-year deal, but it's set up where he can opt out, I think, after this year. Do you think it's his last year in Green Bay? Do you think this year they can rectify the situation?
I wholeheartedly believe this is his last year in Green Bay. I think maybe you can back me up on this. I think the way they restructured his contract is where this could be his last year, and then he could be a free agent afterwards. Is that correct?
I think so. I think what it was, and this is just hearsay, what I've heard from other pundits, is that he had 3 years remaining in his contract, and they structured to where now it's 2 years, and that second year is pretty much an opt out. There's an opt out there. That's what I interpreted. So basically, it's 1 year, and then if he decides to stay another year, he can stay another year. But I guess the only thing that really can change, in my opinion, could change the scope of this relationship between the Packers and him is winning a title.
I 100% agree with you. Please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm not talking. No, go.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, no, I wholeheartly think that this is his last year in Green Bay. I feel like he's given everything to that franchise, and granted, he's had a couple of hiccups in playoff performances, and the team has had a couple of hiccups in playoff performances. But I really think the front office, this is entirely the front office's fault, and I feel like they burned that bridge. I feel like the number one catalyst, whether Aaron Rodgers wants to admit it or not, was the 2020 drafting Jordan Love with the first round pick that they traded up to get him, and then your second round pick being A.J. Dillon, a running back, a position that you definitely did not need to upgrade or think about upgrading, especially when you're coming off of an NFC championship game, whether that was close or not. If you just gave Rodgers and the Packers a couple more tools, maybe it would have been a different NFC championship game, because look what happened with Kevin King. Kevin King got exposed. Maybe if you grab a cornerback in the 2020 draft at that first round pick, maybe we're having an entirely different discussion, and the Packers could win the division, the title last year. So I mean, you never know. The front office has soured this relationship, and I don't think that it can be reconciled.
And front office has been bad, but even before this regime. Ted Thompson got stale. So this is not just like a 2-year thing. I've been saying the Packers is going to stale on Rodgers for at least 5 years, 5-6 years. So that's
I agree with you, but please offer me your perspectives. I feel like you're in agreement with me on this, that the number one catalyst being a Jordan Love pick, but I'm curious to see what you think.
I think the Jordan Love thing definitely exacerbated it. I think the problems were already there. And then and for the record, I don't necessarily disagree with what the Packers did there with drafting them, because think about the last couple of years of Aaron Rodgers' career prior to that draft. And we're not saying he's not good. He's terrific, obviously. Top 2-3 quarterback in the league. But he couldn't stay healthy, number one. So the Packers, I got to think about the future. And the last couple of years, they struggled. And then, obviously had to bounce back. But title game against San Francisco, lost that game, of course. And last year, the title game lost to Tampa Bay. So Rodgers has certainly changed the conversation for a short term in terms of like health and being healthy and whatnot. But you can't blame the Packers for at least trying to figure out their future. That's their job, But that being said, yeah, did the Jordan Love pick maybe motivate Rodgers and maybe exacerbate the issues? Yeah, I'm sure it did. But both sides here in terms of the Jordan Love situation are correct. But the Packers have had a long-term issue of not building properly around Rodgers anyway, and not asking his input either in the process.
Again, I can't disagree with anything you said, but the fact of the matter is that we're not talking about some mid-level quarterback, mid-tier. We're not talking about any guy like that. We're talking about who you just said. I'm taking words out of your mouth. We're talking about the most talented quarterback you've ever seen play the game. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. So the fact that you feel like moving on from him by trading up for a first-round project quarterback pick, that wouldn't sit well with me. And to not even give the guy a heads up, where we've heard many cases of even Kirk Cousins. I think if you can back me up on that, they came up to Kirk Cousins and said, we're going to draft Kellen Mond with our 4th-round pick. Maybe you can back me up on that if that's true or not.
I'm not sure that question happened, but then again, even if that happened, I mean, it's Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, come on.
My point is, though, listen, you're right, but my point is, though, is that if you have a franchise quarterback and whether it be a contract dispute or him getting up in age, you have to give your franchise quarterback at least a little bit of a heads up, saying, hey, we're going to take this guy. We just want to give you the respect you deserve by letting you know we're going to draft this guy.
Yeah.
At least giving him that respect, if you can agree with me on that, for sure.
What you said, it's a bad. But what you just said, they're the optic for bad, and you're correct on that one.
For sure. And that's my whole point, is if you look at it from Aaron Rodgers' perspective, and you're absolutely right, and I can't disagree with what you were saying, where the relationship wasn't that good up into the Jordan Love pick. I feel like it definitely made it even worse by drafting the guy and not even letting your franchise quarterback for 15 years up to that point, not even giving him a heads up that you're even looking in that direction.
Right. Okay, let's talk about something that we're both familiar with, and maybe we're not going to be on the same page on this one, though. The New York Giants, 2021 season is upon us.
Go blue.
That's right. You looking at your social media and discussions you've had in the offseason, it seems like you're pretty fired up about the year, and you feel pretty good about this team.
I feel great about this team.
I'm a little skeptical, but then again, the last 10 years, minus the 2011 Super Bowl championship year, has left a bad taste in my mouth. I'll ask you in a second. My assessment early on, without even going into who they drafted, because honestly, I'm that guy. And I used to be that brick and mortar football fan where I knew every single pick, 6, 7 round, no matter. I'm not that guy anymore. I used to. I don't have time, really, honestly. My initial, feeling coming into the year, you look at the NFC East. It's the NFC East. It's a joke. I mean, it's funny.
My Dolphin fan friends are gonna like that. I don't think yours are either.
I mean, look, but it's the glamour division because of the history, but the results in the last 5 to 10 years have been the greatest. That being said, I don't know. To me, it's all about one guy. I mean, it's Daniel Jones. This is year 3. It's hit it or quit it. It's you get it done now, or we go another direction going forward. So to me, this Giants team, you look at the teams in the NFC East. Redskins, they're great defense, but I don't know if they're going to be any good this year because of no quarterback. The Eagles are rebuilding. Obviously, they're ground up rebuilding. The Cowboys are always that one team where, if you look on paper, who'd be the favorites in the NFC East for me? It'd be the Cowboys on the bat because they have Dak, they have a good team. Then again, but you know how it is when it plays out. You got to show me on the field to prove it to me. The Giants are the only team in the division that I cannot get a finger on because I feel like this team is literally a Daniel Jones rebound away from being obviously NFC East champions and probably could win about 10 games at least. Where you are this year, the Giants? Where are you?
Well, firstly, I'm gonna say I apologize because I thought you said AFC East and not NFC East. That's why I said my Dolphin fans aren't gonna like that. I misheard you, so we can get into that later. But first, let me apologize and say I misheard you. Second, it's, you and I both know a bunch of Dolphins fans, so I just wanted to make sure that
I'm a Dolphin.
Anyways, I don't say that.
They're my number 2 team. Like, to me, it's like I have this thing. I root against Dolphins once every 4 years, and that's coming.
Yeah.
Giants in December. That's all.
Right. Absolutely. So I just wanted to first off and say I apologize if I misheard you. Secondly, okay. I think every football fan that follows the game like you and I do, I mean, at least even a little bit of the close to what you and I follow. I feel like everybody knows that this is make or break year for Daniel Jones. I feel like everybody knows that, not just Giants fans. This is it. I mean, every sports media outlet I've listened to saying they'll know by December whether Daniel Jones is the guy moving forward or if he's not. And I disagree with you. First time. It's crazy. I disagree with you thinking make it a little bit interesting now. I disagree with you saying that Dallas is the favorites because time and time again, and you know way more than I do, that year after year, we've always heard maybe this is Dallas's year. Maybe this is the year that they finally break through for going on 26 years now, and it hasn't happened. I mean, it's not even just my personal bias because the Cowboys are my least favorite team probably in any sport.
Even the Eagles?
Because I know now that you bring that up, so yeah, I mean it's close between the Cowboys and the Eagles for like my 2 least favorite teams in any sport, especially after what happened last year.
Because I hate the Eagles. The Eagles is the team I can't stand in sports. That's the team because I've had history with a lot of fans growing up as a kid, and yeah, that's some of the worst.
What's crazy? Yeah. Yeah. So what's crazy is that you and my dad aren't too far in the age gap. So you say you hate the Eagles more. It was actually instilled in me to hate the Cowboys off rip. Like, it doesn't matter who plays for them. It doesn't matter how good they are, how respectable they are. You have to hate the Cowboys. Like, that was instilled in my brain when I was 6 or 7 years old with my little Michael Strahan jersey on. So,
you trade with
yeah. Oh, it was EJ. It was instilled in me, man. You can ask Pops about that next time you see him, man. It was legit. But those are the 2 teams that I don't care for, probably more than any other team in any sport. But I feel like if there's a favorite that isn't the Giants, because I personally believe the Giants should be the favorite, it should be Washington. I mean, Washington has a legit team, man. The quarterback spot is probably the most questionable because obviously you know a lot about Fitzy. Fitzy will give you a great first 4 games, and then he'll completely fall off a cliff the next 4 after that. So the quarterback spot's iffy, but every other spot, I mean, they have down pat. It's a fantastic team, and if the Giants are 4-0 against them the last 2 years, I mean, I feel like it bodes well for our chances this year.
I say when I say Dallas, obviously it's on a string because I mean, NFC East is just a mess. The Giants, it's weird because like Daniel Jones has the tools to be an elite quarterback. He's mobile. He has a good arm. He's tall. He can see the field. He has to clean up the best. No more turnovers. No more fumbles. Pocket presence. Got to know what's going on around him. He cleans that up. The Giants are winning the division and winning it running away probably because they have everything else around them is pretty good. Like you were commenting on a thread I think a couple weeks ago, and you know more than I do on this topic here, especially is that their defense is legit. It's a legit defense again.
Oh, absolutely. Statistically, I believe they were top 6 or top 7 finishing the year last year, and this is a defense that didn't have a legit pass rusher, and it probably still is in need of a lot of work.
Right.
But they were top 5. The secondary was legit. The linebacking core was legit. Blake Martinez was probably one of the more underrated signings of the offseason last year, and he brought a whole lot of tenacity and just toughness to that defense, which we desperately needed, and probably hasn't been right since Antonio Pierce, in my opinion. It was back in 08, 09. Like that was the last time our linebacking core was legit, and I think you can back me up on that. But
I agree with you.
Defense was top 5. They made some upgrades and they made some additions that is going to bode really well for us this year, and that's why I bank on this season for us. If Daniel Jones shows up, then this Giants team's going to be a problem, man. I think you can back me up on that too.
No, I think this team, if Daniel Jones cleans up his mess, like a little child, of course, this team's winning 10+ games, and I think they're gonna win the East, and I think they're gonna do what they gotta do. So we'll see how that goes. But obviously, I have it on the show in the weeks to come because when we get closer to the season, I'm gonna have you on talk about the what's going on. But
that'd be great.
Let's talk men's basketball Olympics. Okay, so they did win yesterday against Iran by 40 points, 50 points, what it was. So they at least turned the noise down from the struggles coming into the Olympics and losing to France. I did a solo podcast last episode. I did a solo podcast discussing this and explained to people that okay, we need to get this mindset that we are not in 1992 anymore. The world has caught up to us. That doesn't mean we can't win the gold, but the world has caught up to us now. I mean, we need to get out of this kind of this like narcissistic, cocky attitude that these countries aren't good anymore. And part of the reason why they're so good now is because of what the Dream Team did, and the inspiration of the Dream Team. Look at the players in the NBA now. Many of them are NBA players. Like, look at the team, for example, France. Evan Fournier and Rudy Gobert and Jason Tatum. These guys are legit NBA players. I still think, come hell or high water, they will win the gold. Where are you at?
Well, I'm back on the train of agreeing with you. I agree with everything you just said.
Yep.
And you said it perfectly. This isn't 1992 anymore. This team is nowhere. I mean, not even in the same realm as the Dream Team of '92. And I think we can all agree on that. But in terms of the whole world has caught up to us, you're absolutely right. And basketball is a global game, and it probably has a lot to do with that Dream Team that opened up the game of basketball for the entire world. That wasn't just based in the U.S. A shining example, which I'm sure you've seen it, Luka Doncic on Slovenia, his first ever Olympic game, and the guy drops 48 points. Who else is on the Slovenian team? And this guy is entering his third or fourth year, I think third year in the NBA, and he's only 22, 23 years old. He's my age in the NBA. So in terms of the whole world catching up to us, this guy just dropped 48 points in his first ever Olympic game. So I think we need to tone down the expectations on the U.S. team, and I think that does weigh on them. This team doesn't have a lot of what Olympic team or U.S. Olympic teams have had in the past. But I'm in agreement with you. They can still win the gold, and if I was a betting man, I would absolutely put the house on U.S. winning the gold again. And that's how confident I am.
I still think win the gold, but I just think we need to get to the point now. I think people need to understand that we're not as good as 2012 with LeBron and Kobe. I mean, this
Kevin Durant was on that team too, if I can add.
Yes, he was on that team. That's correct. But I do think come hell or high water, I think iron sharpens iron. Struggles are good. Failures are teachable moments, and I think it may not be a bad thing in the end if they lost that first game, which they did. That they'll bounce back. I think they'll learn from that. Another conversation going on in sports right now is the Simone Biles situation. She obviously the GOAT, the greatest Olympic gymnast ever, not even close. She pulled out of the couple of events this week due to mental health issues, whatnot. You have a lot of narratives on both sides of folks that are pissed about it, folks that are literally, supporting her, whatnot. I don't know. It's funny because I can see both sides of the argument to some degree. I don't know. Where are you on this? I'll get my take first. Let me see where you're at first on the whole Simone Biles thing and mental illness and all that.
Well, I definitely want to hear your take on it, but I absolutely will go first. I don't know too much about the whole situation to offer a complete perspective on it, but what I do feel like, the number one thing I do feel like what is owed to Simone Biles is just cutting her a little bit of slack. And like you said, she's the undisputed GOAT in terms of gymnasts. I mean, she's completely killed it in every Olympic she's been in. I did read somewhere earlier today where she's endured a number of injuries, but yet still went out there to compete for us, for pride's sake and getting that gold for, the country or whatever. But I feel like we should cut her a little bit of slack because she's been unbelievable in every Olympic she's been in, as I've said. And she's 24 years old. Like, we have to remember that. She's 2 years older than I am right now, and I'm still a kid. So I mean, I feel like a little bit of slack is owed to her, and I want to hear your take on this before I share more of my thoughts.
Initially, when this happened, when I found about it, like I was, absolutely speaking, it looked bad at first. Like you look at it as a person, just looking at it from black and white situation in terms of not because of race, in terms of just like, either or.
Right.
It's like, well, you're on a team and you quit the team just while you're in the middle of action, and then you realize, and as we start getting more information. And by the way, this is one of the problems with our culture today is that we don't like we're so in the moment of wanting to be right all the time that we don't look at other if new information comes in that can alter or maybe strengthen your position or alter it. We should take it in. And when I start getting more information about the situation, when more things came out about why she did this and what's going on with her, that it influenced more I had a more tamer take to it. So initially I was like, that's a bad look, but then mental health. We're now in a different era now. I mean, look, I grew up in an era, of course, myself, and your dad can relate this too. Where everything's about you work hard and again, I am pro hard work, and I think that's something we should be instill to our kids. But this idea, and I did a podcast on this a couple episodes ago, like this idea of grind culture is overrated because I think, especially to me, grind culture is something that you can embrace depending on your situation. In my case, like, yeah, I could work more, but me working more, I'm now taking time away from my kids and my wife. You know what I'm saying? So something has to give.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to understand that balance is good. Balance is a great thing. You know what I mean? So the people from that aspect are looking at her as like, oh, well, she should try hard regardless of whatnot. That's a sport that literally inches, you can destroy yourself. You can literally kill yourself. And I think that's the thing. You have people who are on their couch with Cheetos in their hand, criticizing, with pot bellies, and you're gonna tell us what hard work is and what she should do. Look, I think at the end of the day, for me, why can't it be either or? Why can't it just be that she couldn't handle it and that's it, and let it lie and that's it, and let it alone? Why does it have to be okay? For example, like you have people like, okay, not to pick on the conservative side of this, but a lot of like right wing people who I don't respect at all. I'm a moderate for the record, but right wing people, for example, calling her a sociopath because she pulled out. Like, why? Look, if you want to have the opinion of that, she, you don't like what she did, that's fine. I'm okay with that. There's space for that. But the extra shit is what I have a problem with. Calling her a coward, a sociopath. Like, come on, really?
Well, that goes back to my whole point of I feel like we should cut her a little bit of slack. And back to what you were saying, I couldn't agree more with you. Shocker. Right. This is a sport. This is a sport where we're literally talking about like this much inches. We're talking about inches to where if you don't feel right mentally and you go out and do the stuff that she does, which by the way, I guess the Olympics have set a couple of rules in place to where they wouldn't let her do some of the stunts that she does because nobody else can do them, right? If she feels like that she's not all the way there ready to go to do that stunt, she could go out there and paralyze herself or even worse, kill herself. Yeah. We're not talking about basketball or football or soccer or baseball here. We're talking about gymnastics to where you can seriously hurt yourself. So I feel like we owe her that little bit of slack, and I feel like it's kind of unfair to call her a sociopath or a coward or call her a quitter because we can't be like nobody's in her mind but herself. You know, so she's not all the way there. She can seriously hurt herself, and that's the last thing we all need to see is something horrifying to even think about something like that.
Right. All right, last thing, I'll let you go. Last one more thing. Non-sports. Talk about your dad for a second. You and your dad. I've told your father for years that, and again, know him. I've known him about a decade at least. One of the cool things about him is that I admire your relationship, your guys' relationship. It's so cool. Like, it really is. Like, I was telling him, like, my goal as I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. My goal is to have exactly what you two have with my children, because I think it's so cool. Like, it's like sometimes you don't think you guys are actually father son. Like, you think you're just actually friends. Like, seriously, or at least siblings. You know what I'm saying? But I told you that many times. Like, dude, I want what you have with Cory is what I want with my children when I get older.
Well, I'm laughing because if I had $1 for every time someone said that we're pretty much like siblings, I mean, I wouldn't even have to be working. I probably could just be chilling somewhere in Aspen, like in my own mansion and stuff. But nah, man, it's I know a lot of people are jealous of our relationship, and honestly, it's taken a lot of work, and I'm super proud of it. Sometimes like I forget he's my dad, and he's more of like my homeboy, like my best friend. Because it's for a while. It's been like this probably since I got into high school or freshman year in high school, where we just got like super tight knit. And it's great. I'm grateful for him. He knows that, and he's my favorite person in the entire world. And he's like the number one guy I look up to. He's my role model. I aspire to be exactly like he is. So another little tidbit. I have a Kobe tattoo on my left arm, if you could see it, kind of sort of. But I have a Kobe tattoo, and he's pretty much the number one reason I got it. But one of the many reasons that I got this that a lot of people don't know is because when I was growing up. He used to be very serious with Pepsi. He had a very impressive job title with them. He was a manager for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Back when the Daytona 500 was originally the Pepsi 400, when Pepsi was a massive sponsor for them, he would always get tickets to the races in Daytona.
Right.
I was a little bit younger, but the driver that sponsored Pepsi at that time was Jeff Gordon, and he was number 24.
Right.
So that's kind of what started like the super tight knit bond that we have today, was going to NASCAR races, and he knew how much I loved him, and that's how some of our best memories were at NASCAR races.
Wow.
And the number one way to or one of the number one ways to remember my number 24 being my favorite number 2 is the number of the driver Jeff Gordon. He was number 24. So that was a little another mini reason to get this tattoo that I love a lot. So I'm very grateful for him, and it's very touching and very heartwarming to know that you aspire to have a relationship like us with your son.
No, like, and you see the world differently. Like they say that when you become a parent, you really don't know true love till you have a child. And is it a cliche? Yeah, to some degree. It also is true. Like, and I told him that a couple times. Like, dude, that's what I want with my kids. I want that with my kids. Like, look. Obviously, they're young right now too, so you have to be very careful how much. You can't be too buddy with an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. They gotta know. Listen, dad's in charge here. Da da da. But as one of my goals with my kids, I'm hopefully we can do this is go to different stadiums around the world, around the country, well, around the country, and go if they get into football, basketball, whatever. Go to even wrestling. We can do like different arenas and watch events together and stuff. But yeah, I told Rudy, man, dude, that's what I want, man. That's I could die happy if I had that with my kids. So you guys are setting a great example, both of you guys. You guys
we appreciate you. You know that.
Publicize that because the thing is, you don't really get a lot of that. I mean, at least from where I'm standing at, father son, and I know the story, a little bit of the story background with everything. I don't have to get into it here, but that's even more inspiring. Your dad stepping up and really being that guy, and not just being a dad, but being a great friend. It's awesome.
Absolutely. He's a great man, and like I said, he's my number one role model, and he's who I aspire to be. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I have to put myself in a perspective. When I was a little bit younger, he was 19 years old when I was born. I mean, he's almost 3 years younger than I was at this point. So sometimes I have to envision myself a 22-year-old kid with a 3-year-old kid. So it was it's just crazy to think about and how far he's come and how I got to watch him grow as I've grown myself. And he's an amazing guy, and very fortunate to know him and have him be my dad. And we're also very fortunate to have friends like you in our life. So it definitely goes both ways.
And he's a good poker player also too. Really good poker player.
Let's not get too crazy, but
come on, he's good. I think he's good.
No, he's fantastic, man. I was busting chops a little bit because I have to do that as his best friend now. I have to talk a little bit of shit to him. So.
He's definitely the Reggie Miller of poker because he talks a lot of shit.
Oh, I've heard plenty of stories and I've seen it a couple times too.
When I deal with him, I have to hold it back because he trips me out. Like some of the things he says on the table, like wow, he's so. Like Cory, so what do you before we go? What do you do? Like I know you interned ESPN down here before you moved up to Colorado. How did that go for you, by the way? Because I was there for a little while too.
It was great. I loved everything about it. I didn't get to touch into the radio side as much as I wanted to. It was more about just shadowing people for the most part in terms of the marketing that they did and the sponsorships that they did for the sports down there as far as high school goes. I worked the Honda Classic, so it was just about learning about the marketing side of it. I didn't really get to learn too much of the on-air personalities, which I really wanted to do. But right. I got to sit in a couple times on the Josh Cohen show. I don't know if they're still doing that or not. I think they are.
From what I understand, he's still around.
So I got to sit in the Josh Cohen show a couple times, and he was great, and he was really nice to me. And The whole reason I took that internship was because I want to learn more about that. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do too much of that, but I can't complain because it was awesome. I had a great time doing it. Everybody there was cool, and that's it, man.
Are you still looking to do media in the future and whatnot? Is that something that you're still looking at as a priority?
I'm keeping my options open. Right now, I'm a little bit more focused on the private country club management. That's kind of what I want to do at the moment because I've been around it for years now, and I feel like I'm pretty good at it, and everybody thinks I'm really good at it.
Right.
But I'm keeping my options open. I don't ever want to turn anything down. I'm only 22 years old, as we've touched on. I'm about to be 23. If the opportunity presents itself in the future, I mean, absolutely, I would think about it, and I would even consider it. But right now, I'm just enjoying it. I moved up to Colorado. I'm actually hitting my second month, or about to hit my third month up here. So I'm just enjoying it as it goes, man. Everything's been great, and we'll see. Like I said, I'm keeping all the options open and don't want to close any.
This is the first time away from family, like this.
This is actually my second time. So in summer of 2019, I spent a summer in North Carolina for 6 months. I went from May to October.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So yeah, so that actually has helped me adjust to life without seeing my dad because we're used to seeing each other almost every day. And that whole summer actually kind of adjusted me and made me feel better about moving like halfway across the country without him, just knowing that he's not 10 minutes down the road like he normally was from me. So it's definitely helped me a little bit. I miss my pops like crazy. I miss home. I mean, I do miss home a little bit, but the homesickness will sit in at some point. But this is my second time, and the experience has helped for sure.
How's Colorado? You like Colorado a lot?
Colorado's beautiful, man. It's been really hot, and I'm not like looking forward to the winter months because I've heard they've been pretty crazy up here. But I don't want to think about that now. I've heard stories, but as someone that's never been in snow, I'm a little bit nervous about it. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. Because I got at least once in my life, I got to say I've lived through, in somewhere that snows a lot. But as of right now, it's been super hot. It's been beautiful. The traffic's insane, which I don't really like, but it's beautiful, man. The change is definitely what I've needed, and I'm enjoying it so far. And we'll see, man. So far, so good.
Altitude is not an issue for you? Altitude has been okay? Adjusting?
Altitude was rough for the first couple of months, probably almost the first month. It was a little bit different, and just going through the different hills and stuff.
Right.
It was tough for a little bit, but as everybody says, once you adjust to it, you kind of get used to it. It becomes a whole lot easier. I'm sure it'll be different for me to be in flat Florida when I come home on Labor Day weekend. I actually booked my flight today. It'll be a little bit different it'll be a little bit different when I come home, but it was a little bit of a problem the first couple of weeks, but it's nothing crazy now.
That's good. The reason I asked because like my wife and I would discuss like if we were to move, where places we'll consider, and Colorado's one on a short list of places that we were
really
looking. Well, let's discuss. Like, I mean, I would say California, but California is too expensive, way too expensive. You said North Carolina, also because you have family there too, especially Charlotte. I love Charlotte. And I think I'm born in New York, but I mean I can't do it. It's too expensive. I can't leave Florida, dude. Like my wife wants to leave here, man, but I can't leave Florida, dude. Florida's this, it's Florida, dude. It's flip flops, man. Come on.
Well, that's what everybody says, and I'll tell you a little story. So my last day off was this past Monday. Excuse me. And it was a beautiful day out. It was like 87, 88 degrees out, which obviously in a place with no humidity, it's a lot different than Florida's 88.
Right.
So I was sitting outside of my little pool in my apartment complex, and just thinking like, man, like this would be a really good beach day back home. And then for the first time, like I actually got that sense of landlock where I'm not by any beach. So I think I took the whole like 10, 15 minutes away from the beach. I took that for granted a little bit. So I finally got the first sense of landlocked. So that bothered me a little bit for that day. But Florida's Florida. Florida's people go to vacation to Florida for a reason. I mean, that's where everybody wants to go. But Florida's home. It'll always be home. But right now I'm good. Colorado's been good for me. So if you do want to move, back to your point, if you do want to move, I would consider Colorado. Maybe not Denver itself because I'm in Denver actually. Mm-hmm. Maybe not Denver, maybe a little bit outside of Denver. I think you guys would really like it. It's beautiful, but definitely keep your options open and don't just say you don't want to move out of Florida. That's my advice.
Denver's too congested, right? It's too congested? I mean, for that state.
EJ, you have no idea, man. The congestion, people want to talk about how congested Miami is. I've never been anything.
Wait, what's Miami? That's
I mean, it's worse than Miami, and I think I can say that. And you know how it can get pretty bad down there.
So I mean, that's saying a lot. Miami's congested. It's very congested.
You know that very well. And as a native Floridian, I lived there my entire life. I can tell you that Denver actually is worse than Miami in terms of congestion. Back to the whole traffic thing, like I was alluding to earlier, the traffic's horrific. It's top 5 worst statistically in the country in Denver, the Denver metro area, which is where I'm at. Every single day, it doesn't matter what time it is, probably from 7 in the morning Mountain Time to 10 or 11 at night Mountain Time, the I-25, which is essentially the highway that runs throughout all of Colorado, it's packed up. It's 4 lanes, it's packed up, and it's a nightmare, honestly. Every day I get to work or try to get to work, I always have to leave like half an hour early just to get there on time.
Can be worth
so it. If you're not looking for congestion, I definitely wouldn't say Denver. But like I said, like a little bit of outside, so you're not too far from everything. I definitely would recommend that. I think you should check it out before you say you don't want to move out of Florida. That's my opinion.
Although I'll roll through top 5. It can't be worse than California than LA. LA is by far the worst. The 405, dude. I've been through LA traffic before. Nothing is worth the LA traffic. Nothing is worse.
Well, I've been out to LA with Dad a few times, and I think I can agree with you. LA is actually really bad. The 405 actually is a nightmare. And I remember wholeheartedly our last trip up there. It was a Sunday night on the 405. It was backed up. I wasn't a car accident or anything. It was just the amount of people that were traveling from point A to point B. It was crazy. But Denver is in comparison. Like I wouldn't sleep on that. Like
I'm shocked.
Denver is pretty bad. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought Denver will be as congested as you say it is. But wow, I mean it's crazy.
But anyway, like I said, please before you let me go, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please keep your options open. Florida's not the end goal. And there's a whole big world out there, and it needs to be checked out. And obviously, you've done that a couple times already, but definitely don't just say no to moving out of Florida. Like definitely just keep your options open.
Well, my wife's the one who moved out here. She doesn't listen to this podcast. She's like, she listen to Cory. We should leave now.
Yeah.
I'm in Florida.
It gives me a little bit of leeway to get back on the podcast again.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you're gonna have all about it. Anyway, Cory, that was awesome, man.
TJ, thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure, and hopefully, like I just said, hopefully I can get back on here with you, man. You're great. Everything was great, and hopefully we can do it soon again.
You got it, brother.